conceptual perspective, things people talk about in desirable success. All of the elements they think, intelligence, expertise. Hey, how much am I willing to give up and are not committed to the struggle, acquiescing to the struggle, they're committed.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you. I hope that everybody is having a great day. First of all, I'm going to ask for a little latitude here and your forgiveness. I am testing out a new streaming platform, so I'm not actually streaming directly from Facebook. I'm streaming from a program that will allow me to do this on multiple platforms at one time. I'm really streamlining what I'm trying to do because there's so much that needs to be done. So this is a part of the graduation process to the next level. I'm pretty sure there are going to be some kinks and some hiccups along the way, but I'm believing that we're going to have, in the long run, a more productive and a higher quality experience, and that's what I'm shooting for. Well, anyway, as usual, if you haven't gotten the books, the link is in there. If you want to work with me, the questionnaire that you need to complete and forward to our support team is also in the description box, no matter where you're watching this at. As if you feel the need for any of those resources, do it. If nothing else, go to the site and check out some of the resources that are there. Absolutely free. You can learn a lot. But there's definitely no substitute for having direct one-on-one engagement. You do it at whatever level you need to do it at, but you definitely need to be taking steps. All right. This is my favorite day of the week, quantum whatever. Today we're talking quantum dynamics. We're talking about the movement and forces associated with quanta, or the subatomic particles and energy and consciousness that's a part of our reality too. And when I simplify it for people to understand, this is simply your faith in action. That's all it is faith in action. It's understanding the dynamics of faith. Faith has never been a wish factor. And most people use faith or the idea of faith as a wish factor. I'm gonna throw it up there, I'm gonna wish for it to happen. If it doesn't happen, it's not God's will. It wasn't meant for me. If it's meant for me, blah, 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 and all of these different things we say, and we don't understand the true dynamics of faith. The dynamics of faith is a mental process of trusting that which you have established, you desire, you want, you are pursuing, or whatever, that even though you can't see the complete equation of how it's coming, you know it is. And that has power on a molecular level. It has power on a spiritual level. It has power from a level of consciousness and awareness that you don't experience in an average situation or setting. It is something extraordinary. And that's what faith is. It's the extraordinary execution of one's beliefs. And so we're going to talk about the dynamic of quantum physics in how it plays a role. And the way we're going to do that, because it does it in so many different areas, it's always 100% present, because it's simply one expression of the Almighty, one expression of the Most High, one expression of God. And so it's always present, and it presents itself in multitudinous ways. And so we're going to talk about the power of human thought, the infinite power of human thought. Change your mindset and change the game. And I get excited about it because this has done immensely extraordinary things for me in my life. And when I look back and I see, and the more I learned how it was happening, the more I was able to control it. The more I became aware of quantum physics, the less I felt that the things happening in my life were abstract. I started to really, truly understand that life wasn't happening to me. Life was responding to me. Life was happening because of me. And that I had way more input into what was going on into my life than I first ever thought. And so it gave me the ability, it doesn't eliminate external and exogenous forces that are moving around you. It doesn't guarantee situations and circumstances. It guarantees results. Did you hear that? Let me say that again. It does not guarantee circumstances, situations, and perceptive realities. It guarantees outcomes. In other words, it's highly dependent upon how I am going to respond to the situations, to the circumstances, all of the things that are going on around me. My response to them, am I becoming frenetic and unglued? Am I becoming shaken? Are they triggering anxiety, fear, worry, stress? Or am I confident in my responses? Am I stable-minded? Am I settled in my spirit? Not ignoring the circumstances, but understanding I have the power to disagree with them. Did you hear me? I said that I have the power to spiritually disagree with my circumstances. I see them, but they're an illusion. Why are they illusion? I say this every day when I'm going through my prayer, meditation, and centralized focus. When I'm priming myself, I'm going through that on a daily basis. And there's a part that sits up and says that I do not become stressed out about my circumstances, situations. And the way that I say it exactly is, no matter what obstacle or undesirable circumstance crosses my path, I refuse to accept it, because it is nothing but an illusion. Why? Because there's no such thing as an obstacle or an undesirable circumstance to the mind of God, which is in me, around me, and serves me now. And so what happens is there's no problem that I'm going to face that's actually a problem. Why? Because God, the mind of God, already has the answer, and I have access to the mind of God. When I become frenetic and unglued, the more stressed I become, the further away from the mind of God I get, the further away from the answer I get. So it's my responsibility to remain stable, not stressed, not upset, not frustrated. Why? Because the more frustrated and stressed I get, the less I can reason and rationalize and open up my mind to the ultimate and infinite consciousness of God that will deliver the answer. In other words, the more stress I get, the frontal lobe, the prefrontal cortex, shuts down. So impulse controls goes out the window. That's when people make crazy, stupid decisions and mistakes, can't stop themselves from doing stuff that they absolutely should normally know is stupid and dangerous, life-threatening, or whatever. And so many other things. It's the shutting down of the prefrontal cortex. So then I can access things and think with reason, and think with responsibility, and think with higher expectations, because fear is now governing my responses. Now, I want to give it to you in a way that's a little bit more scientific and has a lot of empirical data to show for it. Most of you have probably heard of, at some level, the placebo effect. The placebo effect is based off of a number of different tests where they basically took sugar pills or water pills, and they gave them to a controlled group where some got the actual medicine that they were supposed to be getting, and some got the placebo, meaning that it wasn't anything but either water or sugar, nothing else. And what they found is, if the people thought they were getting the medicine, they literally got measurably better. Now, let's make sure we make this clear. We're not talking about they felt like they were better. No, you could take measurable things like blood pressure, like kidney function, so many other things that you can literally measure in blood tests, by taking the blood pressure, and so many other ways. They were literally improving. Then there was another study where doctors in Europe that were thoracic surgeons, and if you never heard of thoracic surgery, it is one of the most invasive forms of surgery there is. They're cutting all up the side and back and in between the ribs to get to the lungs and the heart. And it is one of the most painful recoveries from surgery there is. And I mean, immediately after coming from underneath the anesthesia, there's all this pain, right? Well, they counter this pain with very strong doses of morphine. Okay, now what they found is in doing this test is they didn't, they weren't cruel. They didn't pretend to give one group morphine, but not really, and then give the other. What they did is they had one where the morphine was being administered by a doctor who was explaining what they were doing and how the morphine would work. And the others, they were just given the morphine through an automatic dispensing system, which is what most hospitals do now. It's hooked up to your IV, and it dispenses morphine periodically based on how you set the machine up. Well, what they found is those who had the doctor personally administer it and explain it, and they knew they were getting it, had very pronounced reductions in pain, while those who were getting the same amount of morphine but not knowing they were getting it were not experiencing the relief. Now, what we're getting at here is that the mind is immensely strong, that the mind is governing a large portion of your healing. The mind is governing a large portion of your experience. And you can see it all over. So what we learn is that we're experiencing life not so much from external stimuli as we are from how we're perceiving it. There are people, I lived this personally. In my 20s, I lost my great-grandfather. Those of you who know my story also know he's my father. He adopted me. He and my great-grandmother officially got me when I was 9 months, officially adopted me at the age of 2, and reared me until I became an adult, moved out and started doing my own things. I lost him at the age of 25. But in losing him, it took 5 years to do what doctors said would happen in 2 weeks. When they first found out about his leukemia, it was acute, it was intense, and he was in real bad shape. And they caught it late, and they were saying that they give him 2 weeks tops. My grandfather, the doctor first told my grandmother and I, we don't really need to tell him this. We can just make him comfortable and he'll pass away and he's sleeping. My grandmother looked at me and said, "What do you think?" I said, "No, we need to tell him because we don't know where he's at spiritually right now or what he feels he needs to have a reckoning with, where his situation is with God. And he needs to know because he needs to get his affairs in order, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc." And so he went in and told my grandfather, and my grandfather looked at him and said, "Doc, I'm not an educated man. I have a second grade education. And I'm pretty sure you went to school a whole lot of years to be able to tell me what you just told me. And I'm pretty sure that, you've put a lot of thought into it before you came in to talk to me about it." He said, "But this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to die in 2 weeks. This is his words exactly, I'm going to live long enough to be healthy enough to on my own walk down the aisles of my church and praise my God." Not to mention, because this isn't a push of religion or anything like this, but this is just to talk about reality, and to add fuel to this ongoing contention that will develop out of this conversation. The doctor was an atheist. Okay. And I mean atheist as in no belief in a superior being, not atheist as in not a Christian. I mean atheist as did not believe in God. Okay, so my grandfather lived an entire 5 years after that 2-week prognosis. But the thing is, it wasn't just 5 great years. It was 5 years where his body would come under attack again, and the doctor would give the same diagnosis. And my grandfather would say, "Not yet. I've got some stuff I haven't done yet, and I'm not ready." And and I would look at him, and then it started getting like, this dude is just sitting up dictating, And so I said, okay. So we get to 5 years down the line, and my grandfather has his final episode, and he's in the hospital, and they're about to send him home because he wants to die at home. And first of all, you can look at his resolve and say, okay, I've fought my fight. I've done what I was sent here to do. I'm good now. I'm ready to go. It was there. And, everybody had gotten to a point where pretty much we were good. But the doctor calls me out, and it's kind of funny, and I'm just sharing this with you because of how powerful it is. The doctor calls me out. This is 5 years after he gave him 2 weeks to live, and so many other times where he gave him a couple of days or whatever. You know, this is it. This is finally it. This is going to be it. My grandfather would simply say no. And so the doctor walks over to me, said, "Can I speak to you outside for a second?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we go outside, and he says, "Mr. Wallace, I'm going to tell you something. There are 2 things I've gotten out of treating your father." He said, "The first thing is he's not going to die until he's ready to die. I've just conceded he's handling that. He's not going to die until he's ready to die." That was like powerful. He's like, he simply says, and it's not like I don't believe I'm not dying yet. And it's like, okay. And then it happened. He says, "The other thing I have to tell you, I'm not sure how all this works or where it fits in, but the one thing I do believe now that there's a God." And that was like so powerful in what happened in that. But what came out of it is stuff that I'm still studying now, the power of the mind. Then I found out about prisoners of war, who after they realized nobody was coming to rescue them, they got what people were calling back then, this was in the Korean War, they got what they call give up itis. They would just go lay down on the cot, say, "Leave me alone," and within a day or so, they were dead. And there's the flip side of that. Somebody that should be dead and just refuses to die, just has a will to live. And that will is so powerful from the mind that the universe conspires with the mind and the mindset. So when you shift your mindset, you're not just dealing with thoughts alone, you're dealing with the manifestation of your future reality. When you set your mindset to be in a place of victory, when you set your mindset to have a mindset and a state of power, there are some unbelievable things that happen. And so what I'm getting at is there's so much more at stake in managing your thoughts than you could ever imagine. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand, that a lot of what you're experiencing, you're creating through a mindset of fear, a mindset of anxiety. Your thoughts have a frequency and energy that are literally interacting with the universe and manifesting the very thing you fear. You don't inoculate yourself from struggle, strife, disappointment, stress, hurt, and pain by fearing and running from it. You inoculate yourself by not being fearful of it, by understanding that even when the circumstance or the situation arises, I'm built for it. I have access to the answer. It is inside of me, it's around me, and it serves me. It's inside of me, it's around me, and I can call upon it to meet my slightest need. It's in me, it's around me, and I can take on any challenge that I might face, because there's no problem, no obstacle, no situation, no negative circumstance that's a true reality that stumps the mind of God, which I have access to. We're talking about the dynamic of transitioning from physical matter into consciousness, meaning that everything around you is both matter and, at the deepest level, God consciousness, the mind of God. You can't escape it. That's why Solomon, for those of you who believe in Abrahamic faiths, which includes Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, you know, it's in me, around me, it's there. But you got to understand that no matter where you're at, you don't become frenetic and unglued. You don't become shaken, because the mind of God is there. It's everywhere. It's in me, it's around me, it serves me. It's a part of the dynamic of power. It's It's how faith works. I think it, I speak it, I respond to it in likeness and in like kind. And in that, I create an energy that interacts with the universe, causing the universe to conspire and create the very thing that I'm focused on. Remember, I've told you before, what you focus on, you feel. What you focus on, you feel. One more time, what you focus on, you feel. With that being said, look, I'm going to get off of here. I just wanted to stop by. I couldn't let today get by. You know, for those of you who don't know, it's crazy in Houston from a weather perspective and everything. We've had some massive flooding and a lot's going on with that. But the family's doing fine. I've had a check-in from most of my kids that are in the Houston area. I have a couple that's off to college, but everybody that's here is fine. No property damage reported that I'm aware of. Grandkids fine. So we're all good. In fact, we're gonna have one of the grandkids coming over to this evening. And that's always fun. That's my little ace. I may even share that picture. That's my dude. That's the youngest grandkid. He's off the chain. But so everybody's good. But look, thank you for stopping in. I'm going to get off from here now, and I am going to get the rest of my day going. We're going to work on streamlining this process, because one thing that I noticed that it hasn't allowed me to do is actually engage those who may be listening to this on Facebook, because I'm not actually on Facebook. So I can't see the streams, and it actually removes the actual page once you start. So I'll have to figure all that out. But anyway, thank you guys for stopping by. We're going to get this going. You guys have an awesome day. Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here. I hope that you guys are off to a great start as far as your week is concerned. I hope that you are coming off of a good week where things went well, were profitable, prosperous, and productive. Even if it wasn't, make a recommitment this week, make the necessary adjustments, and get back in the game. This is a marathon. This is a game of perseverance and resilience. It is about making the necessary adjustments. It's about remaining committed and finishing what you're starting. Not everything is going to go your way. That's something that you're going to have an understanding of and be okay with, because things simply happen. Nobody's perfect. No situation is perfect. There's always going to be something that you're working against. That is a part of the process. You have to prepare yourself to be in process. You have to give yourself permission to be in process. The moment that there's nothing wrong with the pursuit of perfection. But what you have to understand is the pursuit of perfection is the pursuit of completion. And in the pursuit of completion, you are going to be always moving towards it. When you're complete and finished, you're done. That means you finished your work. That's the end of the game. That's when you shut it down and you call it a wrap at the end of life. When you look up and you are able to read the pages of your legacy that you've built, that you're leaving the world, that's when you reach perfection, is when it's done. It's not about everything being absolutely in alignment. Perfection is completion. It means that what you started to do has been absolutely done to its fullest. There's nothing left to do. And so you're pursuing perfection, but perfection is a far way off. What you're doing is you're going through the process of achieving perfection. And in the midst of that, you're going to have disruptions. You've got to be okay with that. That's just simply the way it is. I'm going to be brief again this week, but I just want to hit something home. There are a number of different things that are at the top of the list, say the top 10 reasons why people fail at business. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is definitely in the top 5. And it's an unwillingness or an inability to invest in oneself. And when I say that, I mean in every way possible. Investing time, investing energy, investing effort, investing capital, currency, and resources into yourself. I see people all the time attempting to fund business ideas that they have not invested in themselves. One of the things that an average venture capitalist or angel funder or someone that understands what investment in business and venture is, one of the things they're going to look at, how much have you already put in of your own resources, whether it's time, energy, effort, money. They're going to want to see what's invested. Just the idea alone is not going to attract true investors, people who will put in the money necessary to fund your idea. There's money out there. There's always capital out there. There's always resources. And I tell people all the time, your number one resource is your resourcefulness. It's not the money you have in the bank. It's not the people you have on speed dial. It's not your potential investors. It's your resourcefulness, the ability to know what you need and find a way to get it. That's going to be what holds you together. That's going to be what provides the confidence to create calmness in some very hostile and volatile situations as you're trying to work this thing out. It is a process. But the thing is, that most people want something, but they don't want to invest in it. I tell people all the time, what I see with most people is they have a wish list versus a list of goals, aspirations, and benchmarks. And what's the difference between goals and wishes? Goals are something you look at, you measure the cost, and you pay the price. Goals are something you sit up and you say, okay, I'm going to have to put this in. I'm going to have to invest this. I'm going to have to take this much time. I have to do this. Then you pay the price and you reap the reward. A wish list is those things. Is a list of things people want but are not willing to pay for, not willing to put in the work for, not willing to be committed to. That's a wish list. It's just something on paper that looks nice, and it would be fun if you were able to do it. It would be great if you were able to have it. But the truth of the matter is, you're not putting in the work. You're not investing. You're not putting skin in the game. And then you'll turn around and want people to support something in which you have not supported. Sitting up and saying you want to do it, sitting up saying that you're good enough to do it is not enough. You have to be able to put in the work. You have to be willing to put in the work. You got to be willing to take some of your own paper and invest it in yourself, invest it in courses, invest it in material, invest it in inventory, invest it in whatever it needs to grow you. You're going to have to invest in yourself at some point in time. You're going to have to become better than you are, because you have people out there that are competing for the same market. And you have to have an understanding of how you're going to establish and distinguish yourself in the market. You can't go into a market and think just because you're offering something that people will automatically gravitate to it. So you got to know how to brand. You're going to have to invest in your branding, in your marketing campaign. You're going to have an ad spend. I don't care what it is you're doing. Organic business is great. It's a good supplement, but primarily you got to have a tried and proven method of driving business to you. And then you got to have a tried and proven method of retaining the business, because that's business longevity, not conversion, but retention. And you have to understand that conversion is turning someone that's not a customer into a customer. Businesses live off of retention, taking customers you have converted and retaining them through developing relationships with them that create what we call trust. And that's where you get your customer loyalty from. It's in the process of knowing how to do all of these things, but that doesn't come free. That has a cost to it. And what I see and what really bothers me is how many people want something that they're not willing to invest in. And then they expect someone else to invest in them. You are going to have to be your first investor. You're going to have to find, I don't care if you don't have a dime in your pocket, you've got to find a way to put some skin in the game. You got to find a way to be invested. You got to show somebody the effort you've put into being what you say you're going to be if they back you. That may be 10,000 hours of research and analytical processing that says, I've literally put 10,000 hours into understanding this. I know the market inside and out. Here's my plan. This is how it would work. This is how it compares to this. I've done this work. I've put it in. And then if you've got money, you can't hold money and expect to get money. You're going to have to put some money out there, invest in some things that will bring back a reward. You've got to understand that principle. You are going to have to be willing to put money in the game, put energy in the game, put effort in the game to a point where you literally develop momentum spiritually. I know we're talking business, but you've got to develop a momentum spiritually that the universe is hearing you, that the universe is responding to you, that the universe is answering your demands. And life and the universe and whatever else you want to say will pay whatever price you demand, but it's going to have a counter demand. If you say you want this business, the universe is going to demand that you sacrifice some time. If you say you want this business, the universe is going to demand that you take some money that you might want to spend on a vacation or something else and invest it in this business idea. The universe is going to demand that you prove that you're consistently, entirely committed to having it. And then the universe is going to say, now I'll meet you halfway. I will conspire with you to produce this thing you want. It has to be done in that way. I cannot stress this enough. With that being said, I'm going to check out of here. Got so much more to do, but I had to stop by this morning and give you this. Take it at face value, take it for what it is. But I'm telling you, if you don't invest in you, you can't expect anybody else to. And there is just this dynamic that is created when you put blood, sweat, tears, and money into something you believe in. You really truly own it, and it becomes a part of who you are, and it becomes a dynamic force that moves you forward. You know, it's just a wish until you put some skin in the game. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day. As I always say, live your life on full so that you die on E. Have a great day.
From a conceptual perspective, things people talk about in success, all of the elements they think, intelligence, expertise.
What other doors could they close?
How much am I willing to give up and commitment, and are not committed to the struggle, acquiescing to the struggle, they're committed